Welcome to Wisdom and Hustle, where I'm talking to seasoned founders about their wisdom that they've gained over the years to stay in this entrepreneurship hustle. I'm talking to Vernestine Launghinghouse. She is the founder of Absoulute Organizing Solutions that provides hands-on professional organizing and innovative and creative organizing solutions that help you gain control of your time, space, and information. We all need that. 25 years ago, after Layoff, Vernestine decided to lean into her what's next. What happened next has been an inspiring journey. So I'm going to talk to her about her why, her journey towards becoming her own boss, and what it takes to stay in the hustle. Welcome, Vernestine.
Thank you. Thank you.
Absolutely. So let's just jump right in. Let's talk about your journey towards becoming a professional organizer. And so how did all that happen?
All of that happened after a layoff and deciding that I didn't want to go back to corporate America and just determining what is it I like? What is it I really enjoy? So I knew that I enjoyed organizing and planning. I did not know anything about the professional organizing industry, but I knew what I enjoyed doing and what came natural. So not just what I like, but what it is something that comes natural for me.
And so I want to get back to you knew organizing, but you know the industry. We'll get back to that in a minute. But so when you lost your job, how did that feel? Were you afraid of the unknown and not what was going to happen next?
I wasn't afraid of the unknown, but I was a little taken back by not having a job. So I wasn't really afraid of the unknown, but was a little taken aback by, okay, I don't have a job. What's next? I don't want to go back to that. So not so much afraid.
And so what was that period of time like while you were soul searching? You knew you liked organizing. You didn't even know that there was an organizing industry.
Right.
You didn't know that you could really make money. Like that gap, what were you feeling during that gap?
I was feeling that I wanted to move to an area in my life that's something that came natural and that felt good. And something that I felt that I would be good at. It came natural and that I could do it and make money. So
Well, I always say that you can really be a good baker, but not necessarily know how to run a baking business. And so that's the scary part, right?
yes.
That's the thing, how do you formalize it and all that? And so when you didn't know about this industry, how did you find your tribe? What was that like fishing, swimming in uncharted territory?
Right. Well, because I didn't know about the industry and found out just through a friend reading an article, I determined by just her reading the article and her telling me about it. I did some research. I went online. My research was just online. I looked up professional organizing. And as I read it, I said, this is me. This is exactly the direction I want to go.
That's great. That's great. And so what were some of those skills? I mean, because, you were leaning into your passion, which, I think we all get to a stage in life where we realize now is that time. I want to lean into what brings me joy.
Yeah.
And so what were some of those skills? Did you feel okay, so I've been in the IT world.
Yes.
And now you're going into organizing. Did you see any correlation between the industries, or were you just kind of scrap?
Well, I felt it was I still feel it's a totally different industry, but the skills of project management from the IT field and being detailed really helps in the professional organizing field.
That's good. That's good. So it is not lost on me that the name of this company is Absoulute Organizing. Was
Mhm.
that intentional? Was there something about that that resonated with the company and the clients that you were anticipating before you started? Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, years before I started a professional organizing business, I started a wedding consulting company,
Oh.
and it was Absolute, a wedding consultant. So I just kept the Absolute and
And so,
added organizing solutions to it.
with this name, because I want to go a little deep with this, because when I saw that, I was
Mhm.
like, there's something to this, because I think, in one of our conversations, I started talking about, like, you know, um, the lack of organization can bring a lot of clutter, and can really kind of I'm going to say trap us.
Mhm.
And so, was that behind the name a little bit?
As I thought about reusing that name, yes, because I knew that once we get organized, once someone gets organized, how calming it is.
Mm.
And so that was important. I said, well, it's a feeling down in your soul. It's your mind, your body, your soul.
That's great. I love that. When I saw that, I was like, absolute. I feel like I see somebody in Zen mode. You
Right.
know?
Yes, yes, exactly. That's exactly it. Yes.
So, Vernestine, I want to talk a little bit about business and business operations, because I just personally feel like a lot of people of color, particularly women, are going to be leaning more into business,
Mhm,
particularly particularly as to what's going on in our current environment,
mhm. Yes.
with a lot of anticipated layoffs, people figuring out, like, trying to figure out what's next.
Mhm,
And so, when you decided to be your own boss,
mhm.
what was the biggest fear, and what were some of the challenges you encountered into kind of formalizing the business?
The biggest fear was just starting the business.
Mm.
And how do you start a business? What should I do? How do I start it? So that was a great fear. How to charge? What should I charge? So those areas, well, yeah, those were my biggest fears when I was starting.
And so, where did you go? Like, who did you talk to?
I joined the Organizing Association, NAPO. So
Okay.
that was what I initially joined. And I learned a lot about organizing and running an organizing business from the association, from the members of the
Mm.
association. And this was before Zoom and webinars and that kind of
Hmm.
thing. So it was before then. So
Was that face to face,
face
like,
to
come to
face,
the meeting,
yes, 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 yes.
give me a call?
Yes. And and then I also just research how to start a business and
Mm.
the name, registering the name. How should I set it up? Should it be an LLC? Should it be S Corp? Those kind of things. Now, I did consult an accountant
Okay.
for that area of the business, um, and just a lot of research on how to start. Now, I kind of just jumped in. Yes,
Okay.
I did some research, but I didn't. I didn't make sure everything was lined up. I just really jumped in because I knew that I could do it. I just
Mm. So you really leaned into that fear, that faith over fear, right? Like,
yes.
do it
Oh,
afraid. What's that whole thing about do it afraid?
yes, yes. I did, and I was willing to go through the ups and downs because that's how much I believed in
Wow.
starting this business.
Wow.
Mhm,
And so, this is this thing about believing that you can do it,
mhm.
even when you don't know what you're doing. You're
Yes,
swimming in this uncharted territory.
right.
And so, here we are. You
Mhm,
started this business.
mhm.
Um, who did you continue? I mean, being in business is a constant journey.
Yes, yes, it
And
is.
so, did you get a mentor? Did you go to, like, SBA or SCORE? Like, where did you lean in more deeply?
Right. So I didn't go to school until maybe 2 years into my business.
Hmm.
Initially, I think I was just so excited that I just did it. I just did it. Um, so but this article about the professional organizer, I did talk to her, and we discussed how to organize and and getting clients. So we did discuss that. So she was my initial mentor.
Okay. Okay. And so what did you do? Like, how did you get that first client?
I got my first client by just telling anyone who would listen to me. I said, I am an organizer. So my very first client was someone in the medical field. And
Hmm.
I said to him that he needed an organizer. And he said, "Oh, are you an organizer?" I said, "Yes." So a couple of weeks later, he called, and that was my first client.
Wow.
Mhm.
And
But
that,
it was just really just telling people that I was a professional organizer. And I mean, 25 years ago, it wasn't as well known as it is now.
ah,
Mhm,
uh-huh. Because
mhm,
and I would imagine that, it's probably got some new names attached to it.
mhm,
You
mhm.
know,
Yes,
back when you start 25 years ago, it was organizing.
right.
You know,
It's
and some
now
people,
productivity consultant, so there's so many other areas now.
yes.
Mhm, mhm.
And so what continues to challenge you?
Knowing what direction I want to go, what
Mm.
direction, what do I need to do that? That's what that my challenge is every year. Look, yeah, so just thinking about what if I want to go in this specific direction, who do I need to help me? And knowing who has that type of skill. Because if I don't know what direction I want to go, and I can hire anyone
Mm-hmm.
and it be the wrong person, so it's money down the drain because it wasn't what I wanted.
Gotcha. And so talk to me a little bit about like your clients. How do you get clients? Do you turn down clients? Like talk to us a little bit about your customer base.
So my customer base are mostly women.
Mm.
And I mean, not that I don't get male clients, but they're mostly women.
Mm-hmm.
And the women on in all age groups. So it could be in like the 30s, but usually starting in 30s and going up to retirees. So
And
now
why do you think that is, Bernstein? I'm curious.
I think now it's because of the exposure that the industry gets.
Mm-hmm.
We have there's so many TV shows and everything about organizing. There are the hoarding shows. So,
Mm-hmm.
and I think also that women are more open
Mm-hmm.
to getting organized and or getting organized. I think they're more open to it.
That's great. And so, I know that when we talked before, like
Mhm,
hoarding is a whole different thing.
mhm, yes.
So, that's a whole different thing. But I think that, with COVID, during the pandemic, a lot of us leaned into like really kind of shoring up our mental health, making sure that we had a strong position on making sure who's in our space, who's
Mhm,
not in our space.
yeah.
I was listening to the Today Show actually
Mhm,
about, just kind of mental cleansing.
mhm,
And so, do you lean into any of that? I mean, because I know that on the surface,
mhm,
we say she's an organizer. You come in, you know, clean, get some books straight, clean the
mhm,
bookshelf off, put the stuff back and
mhm.
but is there a mental health component to this?
I feel like it is because it's so much more than cleaning a shelf off
Mm,
because that's not organizing. That's
mhm.
cleaning.
Okay.
Organizing is more about creating a system and a process so that you can create intentional homes for items. So if it's your closet, well, can I find the clothes that I want to wear
Mm,
each and every day?
say that.
Right. Um, So you want to we're creating processes and systems. And yes, it will look cleaner because of course you're organizing the items and that makes you feel better. That makes all of us feel better when, first of all, we don't take hours to find something. We can find it in just a few minutes. So that's about creating an intentional home for it, not just a home, but intentional, not just laying it down. But
Mhm.
if it goes back in the kitchen cabinet, I can put it there. And I know exactly where it should go in there. And I can find it when I need it.
So this is really about creating space for good energy.
Yes, for good energy, get the
For-
bad energy out, get things that we don't want anymore, don't need, will not use.
And so, Vernestine, I'm also curious, around this mental health thing. Do you find that, and I don't know how close you get to the clients, but do you find that like sometimes when like if you're there organizing and the clients are there, like there's this a little bit of therapy kind of involved?
The therapy, maybe our conversation, why, if I ask a lot of questions. So if that's therapy, yes, because I ask a lot of questions. Why did you buy all of this?
Mm.
What were your plans for it? Um, can, can we do something different with this? So there is probably sometimes people say, I feel like I'm in therapy. And once a lady said she spent her money, she said, I decided to bring you in to help me get organized versus going to therapy. She said it was well worth the money.
Wow.
Yeah.
So I think maybe,
Uh-huh.
maybe like there's this organizing slash coaching business on the horizon, maybe.
Yes, it's all there, but for me, it's natural. And I don't want to say it's therapy because that's a different
Yes.
field altogether. Don't want
Yes. Yes.
nobody to think I'm going into that field because I'm not. But yeah, so that is what clients say. It feels like therapy.
And I do find it interesting because like I think that when you're in business,
Mhm,
you enter business to
mhm,
be in a lane,
mhm,
and what happens is your business starts to navigate into these other lanes
mhm.
unexpectedly.
Yeah.
And it sounds like that's kind of sort of what's happening with Absolute.
Yes. And it's natural though. It's not, like no,
Mm.
I haven't had extra like therapy training or counseling training, but it's not, I have had coaching training. But it is just a natural skill and it's natural as we deal with how to help clients get organized.
That's wonderful. So, Vernestine, you've been doing this for 25 years.
Mhm.
What do you wish you knew when you started that you know now?
I wish I knew how to charge. That was very important. And
Hmm.
also, as I mentioned earlier about which direction I want to go and knowing who to help me with that, that's what I wish I know. I wish I had known how to better determine the type of help I needed.
Mm. And I would imagine a lot of business owners don't know that.
Right.
Like, you don't know what you don't know, right?
Yes, that's right. And you end up spending money because you didn't know. But once you spend the money, you figure it out.
Exactly.
So yeah, so
And so what about like the marketing aspect of it? I mean, because every business needs some kind of marketing plan, so to speak.
so for marketing for me, well, I'll tell you how I market then versus now. So in the beginning, I had ads in newspapers or magazines.
Mm.
I also did presentations and I still do presentations. So that was educating the potential client on what organizing is, because remember it was 25 years ago. And that was mostly how I market then,
Wow.
early on in the business. Now my marketing is really referrals. So I get most of my business through referrals.
That's great because I mean, and it helps that the organizing industry, like you said, it has increased visibility.
Yes, yes.
And so we think about like I think about the show that that's on television about, redoing moving people to a new home or redoing the home. And there's
Mhm.
this whole cleansing aspect
Mhm.
to it now. And I can't remember the name of the show, but it's, something about the house.
Mhm.
But I think what they've done is they've revamped the show to really kind of lean into this feel goods, but also helping people to not just be in a new space,
Yeah. Mhm.
but what that new space means and what leaving an old space and going into a new space means, not just carrying everything from one space to another space.
Right. Yes.
And so I love that.
I haven't seen this show, but I just know that if someone's moving, it's so important to downsize as we, go through that process. And then creating great storage for the items that you're carrying to the next place and getting it organized and set up so you will feel good about it. I mean, you can do it in your current home, but when you move, you definitely want to downsize because you pay more to move it to a new space. So if you don't do it on the front end, you might have to do it on the back end.
I hear so many people say, don't take all that stuff to that new, don't take all that stuff to the new house.
Yes, yes, right, yes.
If you haven't used it in a year or 2 years,
Mhm.
probably not going to use it.
Right.
I mean, how many times have we heard that? And you're like,
Well,
oh, I'm gonna get back in this. I'm gonna use it now that I found it back in the corner.
but you didn't know you had it, so will you use it? You haven't used it, you didn't know you had it, will you ever use it?
I like it. I like it. I really try to purge every year. I don't know that I do enough,
Right.
but I really try to do that every year. And so, what has surprised you about being in business all this time?
What has surprised me? What has surprised me is that I am still in business at 25 years. That's what has surprised me because when I started, I did not say I'm going to be in business for 5 years, 10 years. I didn't say any. I knew I wanted to do it. I knew that I wanted to be a professional organizer. I knew I wanted to run a professional organizing business,
Mhm.
but I never dreamed that I would still be here 25 years later. Not, nor did I dream I wouldn't be. So it was not, but I'm here. And it doesn't feel like been 25 years.
And what continues to motivate you? I mean, to go into your next 25.
Because this is a natural skill for me.
Mm.
And I enjoy it more. That's what motivates me. I still enjoy it. I still enjoy it. I have great clients. We get things done. We get to really know each other. And all of that's important to me.
And I like that, Bernstein, because, as people are thinking about being their own boss or,
Mhm.
moving into business ownership, I
Mhm.
like the fact that, it comes natural. And I think that sometimes people want to be in business and they're like, I want to be in business, but I don't know what I want to be in business doing.
Mhm. That's
And the fact that you are leaning into your passion,
Mhm.
it's almost like you turn your passion into profit,
Yes,
that
that's what it feels like.
yeah. And so, um, like, what's that advice that you give somebody who is like, okay, I'm perhaps retiring or
Mhm.
I'm looking for something else. Like I need a change in life. Like what do you say?
I say consider what's natural for you. What comes natural. And sometimes because it is natural, we might not even realize how great we are at it.
I love that. And so your strategy for really maintaining this consistency,
Mhm.
has that been like because it's your passion?
Has it, well, it's been up and down. So
Okay.
that's so so that's something else I would say. Be willing to go through the ups and downs.
Mm,
If you want to start a business and you start it, unless it's just something that just doesn't work for you, because sometimes that happens, but be willing to go through the ups and downs because it's just like life. We're going to go through ups and downs and considering what that's going to look like for you as you
And
go through the years.
because we know business ownership is not easy. It's not for the faint at heart.
No.
And it's a lot of hustle. It's a lot of hustle. Um, and so I didn't ask you this about like funding. Like,
Mhm.
did you bootstrap your business and did you eventually like get a loan? What was that? How did you do that?
I did. I bootstrapped in the beginning. Eventually I got a loan, um, loans and grants throughout the business, but it's been mostly bootstrapping the business through
Okay.
most of the time.
And so basically it's you pouring money back into the business.
Yes.
And I think that's something that, aspiring business owners need to know, that, it may be bootstrapping a lot. The majority of women of color have to bootstrap their business, whether it's through their savings or their credit card. Women of color receive less than 1% of venture capital or investors, which is, it continues. That's a sad thing.
Right.
But you just got to believe, right? You got to
Right.
believe that this is what you want to do.
Yes. So believe in what you want to do, thinking about how you spend the money, how you spend your money, how you hire. Maybe we can't start out with a full-time employee, but maybe part-time, or maybe it's an independent contractor. So just do you need office space? So just thinking about all the expenses as you go along in the business.
And do you have staff, Ernestine? Have you?
I have contractors.
Gotcha,
Mhm.
gotcha. And so it's been 25 years. I can't say that enough. It's been 25 years. I'm sure you surprised yourself. People who knew you back then are probably surprised that you're still in business, because we know the life of a business is what typically when you're getting started is 7 years.
5 to 7.
5 to 7 years, and because there's these stops and starts along the way.
Yeah.
And so what has surprised you the most, and what are you most proud of?
I am most proud of still being in business 25 years. What has surprised me the most? The industry for this professional organizing industry has surprised me the most, because how it's just changed so much, not the actual services, but it's changed so much with technology.
Mm.
So like now I can do virtual organizing. I couldn't do that initially, virtual and actually see the person. So I couldn't do that 25 years ago. So that's some of those things that have surprised me the most. Yes, there were other ways of doing it before Zoom, but there's something seemed like during the pandemic that went up virtual, we know why, virtual organizing, but the industry itself has surprised me the most.
And so you made me think about something like during COVID, where I think people were purging the most.
Yes.
Like I remember seeing like Goodwill and Salvation Army, like the bins, like just overflowing because people were home. People had time to think, they had time to clear their heads.
Yeah.
And so did business really kind of take off? Not take off, but really kind of, did you see really an uptick?
Not initially. Not
Okay.
initially, because we were all in and we didn't know how to navigate COVID. No, it did not take up. But what I did see an increase in for my own business was move management, moves. I saw an uptick in move. People moved across country during COVID. So I did see a big increase of moves. Like in some cases, the clients closed their office and they determined I can work from home. Like I've been in this office 10 years, but now I could just work from home. I don't need to work in the office. So that's what I saw more of during COVID.
I love that. I love that. So, Bernstein, what
Mhm.
is next for Absolute Organizing?
What is next? Hmm. Well, at 25 years, so We hope to still be here 25 more years.
Amen.
And just growth. For us, what's next is growth, building larger teams and doing larger projects.
And how can people find you?
They could find me at Absoulute Org. They can reach me at the website, absoluteorg.com. And so the Absoulute Org is the social media.
Okay.
And of course, if they want to reach me by phone, because remember, some of my clients are seniors, so they're going to call. So 202-291-7025.
Wonderful. And so before we close, Vernestine, what are your words? What is your word or your words of wisdom for aspiring entrepreneurs or current entrepreneurs to stay in the hustle?
Know what you want to go. Know what you want, not where you know what direction you want to go with your own hustle.
No direction. Have a path.
Yes.
I love it. I love it. So thank you, Vernestine, for joining Wisdom and Hustle. This has been such an inspiring conversation, particularly for those who might want to lean into their what's next. You know, it's a lot happening out here in the entrepreneur space and in the workspace. And so I want to thank everyone for joining us for another episode. I hope you find these conversations with founders inspiring, motivating, and encouraging to start your own hustle. And be sure to listen to other conversations wherever you enjoy your podcasts. Until next time.